Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Again, with you, Omar from Brownsburg Motorsports, and today we have a 2015 Mercedes C300 4MATIC, and we're gonna show you how to remove and replace the alternator. Like always, whenever we are replacing any electric component, first thing we do is disconnect the battery. So the battery is located on the passenger side and the engine bay, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 tabs. These tabs, you don't need a clip or anything. It has a lock, unlock, a lock, and unlock sign. So you're just gonna turn them, quarter turn. That one is turned already. That one is turned. That one is turned on the quarter turn on the unlock. And then you're gonna wanna lift this up. All right. And our battery is located right there. So let me go ahead and try to get this out of the way. All right. Then you're gonna go ahead and grab your 10mm and a towel. So you're gonna disconnect the negative terminal in this scenario, which is located right here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's that one right there. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and open the 10mm nuts. I'm just gonna loosen it. Then we're gonna grab our towel. You can see it right there. We're gonna lift the terminal up, and we're gonna place the towel right under the terminal and cover it, so that way it doesn't connect to anything or touch anything that cause a short circuit. Next, we're gonna go ahead and remove the engine cover for better visibility. I'm just gonna pull on this. All right, I think it has like 6 tabs. All right, 4 tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those, so you just pull on the cover, it will come right off. Next, we have to take off the air duct out of the way. So it has a clip over here that I'm gonna basically just gonna turn it. So then I'm gonna use my clip remover and try to lift it up. There we go. And on this side, if you can see it, we're gonna have a tab on top. This one is already like halfway removed, but it has a tab on the top, tab on the sides here, and you just pull on it simultaneously. On the side as well, it has a tab on top here, and it should have a tab at the bottom, although I doubt you can access it, so just pull on that slowly, like I just did. And the air boot is off. Moving on, we're gonna go ahead and remove the belt off of the vehicle. Because obviously, you know, it connects on the alternator, and we want to be able to remove it. So our belt tensioner is right there. Let me see if I can show you. Our belt tensioner is... Let me see if I can remove these hoses out of the way. So we have one hose over here. I'm gonna have to get it out of the way. So we have an E10 reverse torque. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is the bolt I'm talking about. It's an 810 reverse torque. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that from here. Just to make more space, I'll go ahead and remove this and show you what we're gonna do next. All right, now that I removed the 810 bolt on the side over here, the hose is kind of loose. I'm gonna go ahead and release my belt tensioner so I can get the belt off the alternator. Now we have our idler pulley right there, the first one right here. That one is attached to the alternator. And we have the one underneath it, which is this one right here. Then we have where our belt tensioner release from is right there. I'm using my 17mm socket with 12 point to be able to release it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn it clockwise. Actually, I believe it's counterclockwise. Let's double check. Yep, counterclockwise. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull on my belt. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm just gonna pull on my belt to release it. And just like that, our belt is off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove my socket, put it on the side. And now let me show you what I was talking about. All right, so this is that's our belt tensioner right there. That's the 17. Let me see if I can. That's the 17 millimeter where I put my socket right now. That's the belt tensioner. That's the belt pulley, and that's right there is the idler pulley. So this is what attaches to the alternator right there. And so release the belt so we can get the belt off of the alternator, just like that. Our belt is off the alternator. We're gonna put that to the side, and I'm gonna grab my tool and I'll show you what we're gonna do next. All right, as you can see, this is our alternator right here, and that's the first bolt. It's an E12 reverse torque. I already have my socket on there, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you how we're gonna get that off. And I hope you'll be able to see it. The space is a little bit tight. There we go. It's right on top of the tensioner pulley and right under the idler pulley. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, and I'll show you what we're gonna do next. All right, I went ahead and removed the, while I didn't fully remove them, I just basically loosened them. This is the first bolt right there, right underneath this hose over here. That's the E12 reverse torque for the alternator. And the second one is the one right there. Let me see if I can focus on it. That one, yes. Is this one right here. It's both of them. This is what the alternator is held on with, 2 bolts. Both of them are reverse torque. And I loosened them a little bit because I couldn't get them with the camera earlier. Even from this side, like it's the space is kind of not tight, but it's right there. That's the first bolt. And the second one again is up top right there. We have our oil filter housing over here, and the bolt is right there. All right, these are the 2 bolts that holds the alternator. As you can see, both of them are E12 reverse torque. Moving on. All right, it's this bolt right here. Let me get my tool again to show you. It's that bolt with the red piece on it, right there. This will be to release these lines over here, so you can have more space to get the alternator off. And you don't really have to remove the idler pulley. That one actually bolts to the alternator. Now this is our bolt. I'm gonna go ahead and finish taking it off with my hand. All right, we removed that 10 millimeter bolt for both aluminum lines. The next step I did is what I removed the idler pulley that bolts on right there. If you can see, it was right there. So it's an E12 as well. That's what it looks like, and that's the bolt for it. I went ahead and removed that, and obviously I took the washer out with me as well. And so I'm gonna put this to the side. The next step would be we're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 lines. There was a 10 millimeter. It's a 10 millimeter reverse torque. I already loosened it. Let me see if I can show you though where the bolt is. It's kind of right there between those 2 lines. If you can see it, I already started opening it. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. That's the one. I already started to loosen it a little bit. I access it from the bottom from here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and remove that now. If you can see it. The space is a little bit tight. Well, the space is not tight, it's more of the components. These hoses are running everywhere, back and forth from one side to the other. So that's the bolt for those 2 lines. That's the engine oil. That's the engine oil line to the engine. It goes to the engine cover. So I'm gonna go ahead and now and just pull on those 2. It's gonna leak a little bit of oil, so expect that, and be sure to clean it up when you're done. So let me see if I can pull on them. Okay, they are coming off. It's easier because I removed the 10 millimeter that holds it from the other side. Come on, they have a washer on them, so I might use my pry bar to see if I can access it from here. There we go. Perfect. They both have an O-ring on them, I believe. Okay, at least one does. Let me see if I can get the second one off. Just like that. Once you're done, just make sure the oil level is good, and then clean up the engine bay area, which is what I'm gonna do. All right, moving on. Now that those hose lines or those lines are out, I can move them like freely. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring them to the side over here and try to just keep them out of the way. Does that make sense? All right, right there. Perfect. Now we can access the alternator. What I did, I brought my small pry bar earlier, and I kind of got in there and I kind of pushed on it. So the alternator now is a little bit wobbly, so like it goes like back and forth. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's what I'm talking about. There we go. I can move it back and forth. Now what we have left is the bolt for the positive on the back of the alternator and the connector itself. I'm gonna see if I can access that after I kind of wobble the alternator out. All right, as you saw, I used my pry bar and kind of put it on top of the belt tensioner pulley, and I kind of pushed on the alternator a little bit. Now be careful, don't exaggerate a lot of force because you do not want to damage the pulley for the idler belt and then for the belt tensioner. And then I used my screwdriver over here. I put it in the spot where the bottom alternator bolt's supposed to go, put it in there a little bit, and then I pried the alternator out once there was a little bit of space. And then I came from the side, kind of wobbled it out a little bit, and as you can see now it's a little bit loose. I'm gonna see if I can access my connector and my 13 millimeter bolt right now, so I can take the alternator completely out. All right, so for the sake of doing this job properly, Mercedes parts are expensive, and we do not want to break any vacuum lines, any air lines, whatever, or bend any AC components over here. The two options we have: either we recover the freon from the system, disconnect the AC line over here, and we'll be able to access your hand. My hand is kind of thick, so I couldn't actually get it all the way in there. We can recover the AC, the freon, and disconnect this line over here and move it out of the way, so I can actually get my hand in there, remove the 30 millimeter on the back of the alternator and the connector. Or the second option would be to remove the module. So to remove the module, it's actually kind of easy. It's not really hard. You can disconnect this. You can disconnect this connector over here. There's a tab on the bottom. You push on it and you pull. Same thing on the other side. You push that tab. You push this tab right here and you pull on this, and these two will come off. And then the module kind of just like pull up. It's kind of like the bushings for the engine cover. That's how it's mounted over there. And once you're done, just push it in and it's solid. Anywho, that's the first option. Get the module out, and I'll be able to get my hand from here and get that 13 millimeter. All right, so like I explained, the two options that we have: remove the module, engine control module, or recover the freon. I'm gonna go with recovering the freon, to be honest with you, because that will give me more visibility once I get this off. So I'm gonna go ahead and recover the freon out of the system and disconnect this line. I believe it's only a 10 millimeter nut that holds these two lines. I'll remove this line out of the way. All right, the freon is recovered. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove this 10 millimeter nut so I can get the hose out of the way. And again, we're only removing one hose, this one over here, on the high side, if that makes sense. This one will come off with it, obviously. Put that one back here for now. And this, I'm just gonna go ahead and let's see if we can get it out of the way. There we go. There we go. Now the hose is out of our way. I'm gonna go ahead and put like a bag or something on it, so that way we don't get like debris in. I can go ahead and push this in here. Now we can probably, there we go. This is what I'm talking about. All right, I think you can see the harness over there. That's the harness that go to our 13 millimeter. This is the cover. It's basically on the side of it. I just used my hose plier and I kind of tilted it to the side, tilted the alternator a little bit to the side so I can put my hose plier on it and kind of push it back to get it. Now I'm gonna use my 13 millimeter, and I'm gonna see if I can access that nut in the back. All right, so using my 13 millimeter wrench, I got in the back over here, and I found the nut for the alternator, for the harness. And this is the 13 millimeter nut that I removed. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull the harness. Just gonna push on it a little bit. I don't think there's anything blocking it. There we go. Now it's out, and that's what it looks like, by the way. It goes on the back of the alternator. Now we have one connector on the back that we have to remove in order to fully get our alternator out. I'm gonna go ahead and try and hold that harness up with a bungee cord because the space is tight enough already as it is. Okay. All right. Now I should have enough space. Let me see if I can access that connector. Can't really see it, but it does look like it has a lock on it. So I'm gonna use my pick. I'm gonna release that lock. Here we go. The connector is right there, and it has a tab on the bottom. I'm gonna see if I can push out. There we go. Perfect. Now it's off. All right, so I set the alternator all the way down at the bottom on the bottom subframe, and so there is no space, to be honest with you, to get the alternator fully out. The only other way that I can see that we can get it out without having to remove the upper radiator hose would be to remove these covers on the top. So that's what I'm going to do. First, we have a clip on the side here. We have another. There we go. That's the first clip. Have another one on the side. Okay, that's two out of the way. Moving on, we have another one over here as well. Okay, and now we should be able to remove the actual plastic cover on the top. There is the latch cable over here. I'm just going to release it from the tabs, and that's the first one. I'm going to put this on the side over here. All right, now that we remove the cover, I'm going to go ahead and use my pick and remove the PCV line that's in our way over here. So to do that is I'm going to use my pick. I'm going to see if I can release the tabs on each side. I believe I got the first one. Let me see if I can get the second one as well from the bottom. Oh, I only got the first. I only got the bottom one. So let me try on the upper one again. There we go. And a little bit from the bottom as well. It's kind of tight fit, so make sure you are opening the right line. Can be a little bit of a pain, to be honest with you. Was the placement on it? Okay, so it is released from the top now. Let me see if I can hold it in place while pulling on the bottom one. Okay. There we go. Oh, that was that took me longer than what I expected. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this line over here so I can get it out of the way as well. As you can see, the job itself, like the concept itself, is easy, but there's a lot of things in the way that has to be taken out, so that way you don't damage or break anything. One of them, some of them are these lines over here, whether it's the AC thing or the engine module thing to access that 30mm bolt in the back. I know this is an airline, so there is no coolant or anything. Okay, that one is out of the way. Now I can go ahead and take this out of the tab. And let me, oh, you can still see it, perfect. Let me get the camera closer for you guys. Okay, now I can go ahead and kinda put this over there. That's fine over there. Now the next step, we're gonna go ahead and try to get our alternator out now. We should have enough room to get the alternator out. It is gonna be a little bit of a pain, but we should be able to get it now that we have most of the air lines and everything else out of the way. There we go. It is a tight fit, but as you can see, we got it. Now from the back, what I was telling you earlier, let's see if I can set that right there. Can you guys see it? Perfect. So this is where the 13mm bolt was with the harness attached to it, and this is where the connector was that we took out earlier. Now as far as the bolts on the front, this is how our alternator is seated, like in the vehicle, just like that. And basically we have the E12 bolts right there, and this is for the idler pulley. Now, all right, we got our new alternator here from the dealer. I'll make sure to drop the part number in the description below. And you can, I think they are available on ECS and FCP, but you can look it up with the part number on Google. And if it is available, FCP and ECS would be one of the first websites to pop up. Anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and reverse what we did, basically to get the alternator back in. It's gonna take a little bit of time, so I might fast forward to this video, to this part, until I get inside. There we go. That's the sound of the connector on the back of the alternator. Now I'm gonna go ahead and connect our 13mm nut as well, since I have the space. And we did get a new nut for the alternator, that one right there. So I'm gonna go and release my bungee cord that's holding the connector for the alternator. That one can stay there for now. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and tie it with my hand as much as possible. Let me see if I can zoom in to show you what I'm working at right there. That's what I'm working at right now. Our 13mm is right there, and next to it is the connector, which I did before the nuts. I'm gonna grab my 13mm wrench and put it in there. All right, I went ahead and tightened the 13mm nut on the back of the alternator. Now let me show you first. I'm gonna put this cap back in place. That's the cap we were using. Let me see if I can zoom in again. There we go. This is where I've been getting my hand in from. Like I said, personally, I'm glad this is the option I went with, and not removing the actual module on the back. And let's see here, just have to push it in. There we go. All right, we got that in place. Now what I'm gonna do is, first thing I'm gonna put the AC line, because I'm gonna make sure the alternator is sitting properly before I put anything back. So let me go ahead and see if I can slide that back in place. Let's see if I can show you from the side. It's gonna be a little bit of a tight fit, and my hand might be in the way, but basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna see if I can wobble it to get it situated. Okay, I'm gonna grab the bolts for it and situate the first one in the bottom. Let's see if I can push it up a little bit. There we go. It seems that it has actually went in properly. Let me see if I can get the second one as well. Second one is right there on the top, as I showed you earlier in the beginning of the video. Trying to get out of the way so I can show you, basically. All right, let me grab my E12. Okay. All right, we went ahead and tightened the bolts for the alternator. The bottom one is right there. That one right here. I'm touching with my screwdriver. And the second one up top is, I don't know if you could see it or not, but it's the one right there. Right there, I'm touching it right now, the screwdriver. So those are the two for the alternator. So the alternator is back on and secure. I put the 13mm nut and the connector back for it. So now I'm gonna start putting stuff back together. Now first one I'm gonna start with is gonna be the oil lines in the bottom. So let me go ahead and grab the screw for that. It was an E10. It was a reverse torque E10. And the lines are right here on the bottom. I left them earlier. Go ahead and get them aligned. You gotta make sure that they are aligned. I also already cleaned up the O-rings on them a little bit, just to make sure, like, you know, they're not they don't have like a crack or anything on them. Everything seemed to be okay. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put the screw back for them. The place is kind of hard to see, but if you go back in the video, you'll be able to see it more clearly. All right, I believe this one had a washer on it. All of the screws, all of them, they look the same. Most of them are the same size. Yep, it was the one with the washer. If you took it off earlier, it was the one that had a washer on it. Would make sense that it had a washer on it because basically it's holding both lines with just one screw. So I gotta make sure that that's actually tight on the bracket. And before we're done, we make sure the oil level is good. We'll add the oil accordingly. Okay, let me go ahead and tie that up. I don't know if you can see it to the camera or not, but if we can focus a little bit and zoom in, the bolt is right there. That's the one I'm tying right there. All right, that's tight. Now the next step, let's see what we have. I'm gonna go ahead and put the AC line back on there because basically we are done with the side over here. So I want to make sure that we get this out of the way and make sure it passes under that line again. And now I can take out the bag. I put the bag on just to make sure, you know, that no contamination gets in. And I'm gonna go ahead and take this one off. You gotta make sure you align them. There we go. And then we have our 10mm nut that was holding it. So I'm gonna need my 10mm ratchet. I'm gonna go ahead and screw it with my hand first. All right, I got my 10mm in here. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up. All right, once we're done, we'll go ahead and fill up the AC as well. Put back the freon that we took earlier. The next step would be, I'm gonna go ahead and put this pump back in place. I'm just gonna slide that thing back in here. Next, we have these two coolant lines that we took out earlier. I have the bracket for them, the plastic bracket. And I'm just gonna make sure they are sitting properly. And then I'm gonna slide that bracket in to hold them in. There we go. And we loosened we took off the bolts for the intercooler. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those back right now. They were also E10. So the first one is up top over here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yep. First one is right here. Space is kind of tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and do the bottom one first to kind of align it, make sure it's in place. It's the one at the bottom. I'm gonna tie it with my hand. First thing, like always, like I said, both of them are E10. Okay, I'm gonna tie it all the way with my hand. Same thing for the other one. You gotta make sure you don't drop this because if you drop it, you might never see it again. So be careful. I'm pushing kind of with the, there we go, all the way with my hand so we don't cross thread it. Then I'm gonna grab my 3/8 ratchet right here and I'm gonna tighten these up. You don't have to go berserk on these. These are only holding the intercooler, so they're not actually holding, like, they're not holding a bracket for an oil line or an AC line. All right, let's see what we have next. This is, we'll put this back already. Moving on, I'm gonna go ahead and push this back earlier. I might have not included some of these parts because like earlier in the video when I was taking stuff off, let's see here. See if we can push it back in. Well, this one is supposed to supposedly. There we go. There we go. Now it's sitting properly. Everything is good. I'm gonna go ahead and put my PCV line from earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and run that on the side here, under this hose. And I'm just gonna push it in. And when it clicks, that's how you know it's good. Then I'm gonna put my line again. I'm gonna use my channel lock. There we go. Also, this is another one that I removed earlier, but I didn't have to. Like I said, you might not see these parts at the beginning of the video because I was trying to figure out what would be the best approach, and just have to be careful with these. Almost there. A bit more. There we go. Perfect. This line is back properly. The other lines are back properly. Now let's go ahead and set our belt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up a little bit the oil that got spilled earlier from the oil lines. I'm going to clean that up a little bit first before I put the belt back on, and we'll show you what we're going to do next. Alright, I cleaned up the pulleys as much as possible. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my idler pulley back on the alternator. Let me see if I can shed some light on it. It's right there. And this you can as well tie it with your hand all the way in, and then you can tie it with your I believe it's an E12. All right, you might need an extension with the actual ratchet just to make sure you access it without bending any lines or any hoses. All right, I got my E12. This is E10. Got my E12 in here. And I'm gonna go ahead and try and access it from there. Again, this idler fully mounts on the alternator, so also you don't have to go berserk, just tight enough. All right, now that that's done, we're gonna go ahead and place our belt. So let me get the belt placed properly, and then I will show you on my computer with the schematic for it or the way it's supposed to be sitting. Alright, so we put the belt back on. Now back to my computer here. As you can see, this is our alternator, and it goes under the idler pulley that mounts to the alternator. That's our tensioner, belt tensioner, and that's the pulley on it. We have another pulley there, our crankshaft, and our AC condenser. So basically, as you can see, that black line over there, that's the diagram for the actual drive belt. We went ahead and put everything back on, and we're gonna recharge it with the AC, and we'll go from there. All right, lastly, we already checked the oil level. We had some 0W40 Mobile 1. We're gonna go ahead and put this cover back on here. Make sure it's in properly before I start clipping it. And we're gonna put our latch, hood latch line back on there as well. It's giving me a hard time to set properly, so let me get the other ones. Oh, it's one of those, that's what the clip looks like. There we go. This one is good. This one is good as well. This one I just have to put up a little bit more. If I could. Sorry, the rock. Here we go. Perfect. Now our latch line. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the guides. If you can see it. This is the line for the hood latch right there, and I put here, and back here. I just like pushed it in, and it's secure now. All right, next step would be we're gonna go ahead and put the air duct back on there. So I got my air duct in here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and connect it from here. And then from here, I'm just gonna push it in on this side and make sure it's sitting properly. There we go. And then we have our clip in here. I'm just going to push that back in. I'm going to use my needle nose to spin it. There we go, to lock it in place. And lastly, our engine cover. All set. Last thing we have to do is put the battery back on. All right, we're gonna go ahead and recharge the AC now. All right, we put the Freon back while we recharged it. Make sure we put the same amount that we took out, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was the 620 grams. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and connect the battery now. Don't worry about the parts, that's normal. Go ahead and tighten this up. And I have to make sure that we put the cover back in here. Alright, that's that. Now for the cover. Make sure everything is aligned. There we go. Last couple vents. So it's going to make the job a little bit harder to align it, but nothing we never did before. So that's first one, we lock the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. Okay, there we go. That one locked, that one locked. Everything is locked. And that's it. All right, we recharged the AC. We made sure the oil level is good. We connected the battery. So let's fire up. And here we go. As you hear, no more sound from the engine. So the job is done. Make sure you follow and share for more.